Hi, welcome to Facebook Live, HQ Roundtable episode number 27. Here with me, I am National Secretary Treasurer Ann Panteleakos, and I am here with Cortina Barnes, the Director of Administrative Services, and George Martin, our Director of Accounting. And we're here today, we're doing our Facebook Live about a bunch of miscellaneous items. So first we want to say happy Halloween. I don't know if you could see, I am wearing this fascinator because I just came back from the VFW National Home and they just finished their 100 years. And there's 32 departments that are turning 100 years old today. So because of Halloween, I decided to wear that. We asked George at the last minute to be on this Facebook Live, so he's not prepared in costume. I offered him the extra crown I brought, but he said no, he was good. But Cortina, what is it that you're wearing?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. You see what I have right here?
Yes, it's a dollar bill.
And what's another name for that?
A buck?
And where is it?
On your ear?
In my ear. I'm a
Buccaneer!
buccaneer!
Oh my God! Well, thank you, Cortina. And thank you for all of you out there that are playing along. So the reason we have George in here is there's a couple of things that we would like him to discuss with you guys that we keep getting questions about. And one of those is EINs, and there's a few more things. So George, I'm going to actually turn it over to you so that you can get started and then get back to work.
All right, I appreciate that. So an EIN is also known as an employer identification number. It's also known as a TIN, which is a taxpayer identification number. And you can kind of assimilate this to a person's social security number. And so the question we get asked a lot is, we had our tax exempt status revoked. Can we just get a new EIN? And the answer to that is no. So let's, to take this to a personal level, if you're an individual and you don't file your taxes for 4 years, can you just go get a new social security number and then be good with the IRS? No, you can't. And so that's very similar. You cannot just go get an EIN, a new EIN, because you lost your tax exempt status. You need to do the right thing and file a new form, IRS form 1024 and 8718, in order to get your tax exempt status back. So you don't get a new EIN if you consolidate with another auxiliary. You don't get an EIN because you had a change of officers. There are very, very few instances where a new EIN will be issued from the IRS, and I cannot think of an example of when it would happen to the VFW auxiliary. So the answer to your question is no, you cannot go out and get a new EIN and have the world be hunky-dory. You need to do the right thing and follow through with the IRS. And I believe you also wanted me to speak a little bit. Do you want me to stop?
Oh, I just raised my hand.
Oh, okay.
When you get a chance, there's a question.
So whenever there's a question, Amanda will. Oh, Amanda Cook is also in the room. I forgot to announce that. So whenever there's a question, she will let us know, and then she'll read it back to us after. So do you want to do it now, Amanda?
Sure. So they were asked, what are those form numbers again?
Yep. Okay.
So I spoke of the IRS form 1024-1024, and with that, you also have to file IRS form 8718-8718.
Perfect.
Okay. And then, Ann, I think you also wanted me to speak about the 990 NE postcard.
Yes, I do.
Okay, and so that is the typical annual tax return that would be filed by VFW auxiliary entities. Per section 919 of the national bylaws, each auxiliary district and department's fiscal year runs from, July 1st to June 30th. Tax forms are due on the 15th day of the 5th month following the end of the fiscal year. So this would be November 15th for all VFW auxiliary entities. Now, I have heard stories of people paying $20 to file the 990 NE postcard. So what I think is happening, people are just going on Google or their search engine and typing in 990 postcard, and they just click on whatever website comes up, and that is not correct. You're getting swindled. You go to the IRS website, which is irs.gov. There is no charge to file the 990 NE postcard. Now, you will have to create a login.gov or ID.me account to be able to log into those systems, but it's not hard. I've done it previously. If you file your taxes that are not in sync with the end of the fiscal year, you're in violation of the bylaws and you need to get that corrected. And you'll have to file Form 1128-1128 with the IRS to get that corrected. And then, Ann, I believe the final thing you wanted me to speak on was the new membership application.
Yes, we're very excited about our new membership application. So, George, tell them when it's coming out and what they get to use it for and how it's going to work.
Okay, so the new membership application will be accepted for processing beginning January 1st of 2026. We will release it in Malta December 1st of 2025, so everybody has the form and is ready to use January 1st. After January 1st, any old VFW auxiliary membership forms will no longer be accepted. So the biggest change, I believe, and Ann, you can jump in here, with this form is that there would no longer be any ACH or credit card information on this form. So what will happen now for people that want to pay with a credit card is that they will fill out the form and there will be contact information on it. Once your department treasurer has processed the new membership application, either an email and or text message will go to that person stating your membership application has been processed. You may now make your payment. And they can pay by clicking on a link, or they can call a phone number, pardon me, and do a payment over the phone. Also, with the new membership application, both life and annual memberships will now be able to be gifted. So in the previous years, we've had a number of people that wanted to do an annual membership as a gift, and that was not allowed. With this new form, it will be allowed. We really hope this will streamline processing and get members into the system much quicker. That's really all I have on that. Ann, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
There is, but there is a question, so I'll let Amanda ask that first.
Okay.
Mary Ellen asked, will the new membership application be accepted before 1/1/26?
Technically, they can be accepted unless the person is using a credit card, because that system will not go live until January 1.
And so that's what we're really excited about.
Mm-hmm.
And so somebody did ask us a question about what happens when they go to a meeting and they get voted in as a member and they're filling out this credit card application because there's a delay. Well, there's a delay always because the auxiliary still has to send the application into the department.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always been a delay. So if something happens and the credit card gets rejected, then you have to reach back out to them. They become a member once you vote them in. However, if they want to apply for a cancer grant, it's once they get put into Malta. So it's very important that they do that credit card thing right away. It's important that the auxiliaries send the applications in to the department right away because we don't want a delay.
And we really hope this will take the delay to a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Before it would be the auxiliary had to send it to the department then had to send it to national, then national would have to process it. Now you are eliminating the national portion of that because it goes to the department, and then the person is notified immediately, hey, you can now pay your membership dues, instead of writing down a credit card and then a month later, 2 weeks later, they have it stolen or they forget it at a restaurant, and so they have to cancel it, and so that can create a whole bunch of delays, on the back end. So we really hope to eliminate those delays with this.
And we're also really excited because we, George and myself, we've had a training with all of the department treasurers. We did it over several weeks to make sure that we did it by conference. So we took into account time zones, and all of the department treasurers have been trained on how this will work. We tweaked and tweaked and tweaked this application so we can make it absolutely perfect. So if anybody finds an error, don't tell me. I don't want to know. But we're pretty sure it's pretty good now, so we're very excited about it. Amanda, is there another question?
Yes. Will the membership brochures be updated?
Do you want to answer that, since that is part of communications?
They sure will. We're getting them printed right now, so we're prepared for the first of the year.
And once those come in, we'll start sending them out immediately.
Yep. So,
And all the new applications will have a revision date of January 2026 on the bottom right-hand side. So that is how you will know you have a good application.
okay, so we're going to move on. We're going to keep George in the room for two more things because they both have to do with financial stuff,
Okay.
and in case you have any questions. But next up on our list, Cortina and my list, to talk about is Lois's special project. So we looked it up this morning. So what is the total amount that we've raised so far, Cortina?
$41,827. Woohoo!
I know, that's really good.
Yeah.
And so can you tell a little bit about what her special project is?
Well, her special project is continuing education. Lois wanted to give more money to continuing education so that we could give out more money to people so they could continue on with their studies and with whatever programs that they are going on in higher education maybe. And so she's very adamant about that. And this is going to help do that. And we're really excited.
And one of the reasons she chose that as her special project is because Lois herself went back to school as an adult. So she really wants to do this for the membership. But currently our scholarship is only $1,250 per conference, I believe. Am I correct? I believe that's correct.
Yes.
So we want to raise that amount of money up, and that's why we're trying to raise this money. And just so you know, both Cortina and I still have a cold, and I'm hoping we don't give it to George.
Amen.
So we all have water and cough drops.
Yeah, sorry.
Amanda's staying far, far away from us. And then, so George, can you tell them if they want to donate to the continuing education, how would they find that in Malta?
So once you log into Malta, one of your tabs at the top is Make a Gift. Now, please note that that tab right there is only for individuals. If you are a treasurer making a gift on behalf of your auxiliary district or department, you must click on the Duties tab. And then once you're inside that, there is a shortcut in the icons, Make a Gift, and that will make a gift on behalf of your organization. But for any individual that wants to make a gift, just click on the Make a Gift tab and it'll ask for your credit card. So anytime it asks for a credit card in Malta, you're making or doing a transaction as an individual, not as an officer. If it says, you know, we're going to deduct this money from your auxiliary district or department bank account, then you know you're making a transaction on behalf of your entity.
Mm-hmm. Was there a question, Amanda, about a revision date? The new application will have a revision date on it. And the main reason we're having that on there is so that people know that the old applications will no longer be accepted.
Well, this person is more of a comment, said it would be helpful to show a revision date on the screen as well as on the form or document with each form or document and member resources so we can tell whether there has been a change without having to download repeatedly and compare it to what we already have. Well, I think you'll notice when you, and I don't quote me on this 100%, but I think when we do a revision typically annually for member resources, but also as needed if something is out of date. And we do put at least the year on the form. So that's, you know, we could change it to like a month in the year if it changes mid-program year or something. So
we could put, when we upload the new form, we could put revised January 2026
right.
or something.
We already do that for all of the other member resources. You have a date of 2025 on it. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. Next up, we are going to talk about cancer rate and research. So many of you out there may remember the program that we used to have called Cancer Rate and Research. Every year, we still ask auxiliaries to donate $2 per member towards the Cancer Grant Fund. So, Cortina, can you explain a little bit about that and why we do that and what that money gets used for?
Well, as you were saying, at one time we actually had a program, and we had a program what were called directors, and they're now ambassadors to go out and do that. And then we realized that, there are a lot of agencies and programs out there that are already collecting and donating for cancer aid, but we still want to support our members with cancer grants, and we still want to support research agencies. So we still do that, and that's what your $2 goes to. Your $2 goes to helping our members if they are awarded a cancer grant. And it also goes to providing money for our national president to give to a research organization. to help fight, this war on cancer. Now, the cancer grants are one of your benefits as a member, and if you don't know about that, or if your new members don't know about that, you should help to, tell them about it. If you get cancer and you are interested in receiving a grant, we provide 2 grants, I believe, in your lifetime
Mm-hmm.
to members in good standing that are accepted once you fill out the cancer grant application, and it has to be signed by your doctor. Now, you can download this from Malta, okay? And that's what you're supposed to do. And if you don't have the capability to download it, then ask for your auxiliary president or secretary or someone to download it for you. But it doesn't go anywhere but to you, your doctor, and then mailed into us. That doesn't go through the department, it doesn't go through the auxiliary or anything. So no one knows this information about you, okay? And that's very important to remember that. If it is accepted, then you will receive a grant for $550. Now that doesn't sound like a lot of money, but guess what? Maybe it will help with, a bill that you need to pay or something. But it's just a thank you to you, for being a member and being a loyal member of our organization. So as I said, you can get up to 2 in your lifetime. So there is a waiting period between the first one and the second one, right?
Yeah.
Or you
Yes,
have to,
1 year.
Yeah, 1 year. And speaking of the 1 year, you have to have been a member in good standing for a year before you can apply for a cancer grant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
George, do you want to tell them how to find the form on Malta?
So if you log on to Malta, right on your homepage there, we spoke a little bit earlier about make a gift. I believe right to the right of that is cancer grant. And so you just click on that and we'll bring up a PD version of that cancer grant. And really it's a very simple form. You have to know your membership ID number, which you had to know to get into Malta in the first place. Your name, address, phone number, email address, and the date that you signed the application, not the date you became a member. And you put your signature on there, and then your doctor fills out the rest. You had to be either diagnosed or treated for cancer within 1 year of the date that application is submitted to national headquarters. And then if you're awarded that grant, you have to be either diagnosed with cancer again or continuously treated with your current version of cancer a year after the date of the check that is issued to you. And currently the cancer grants are $550 a person.
each instance?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell them we hate to deny a cancer grant?
Mm-hmm.
We absolutely hate. First of all, it's more work for us.
Right.
So why would a cancer grant be denied?
One of the biggest items is that there is legal verbiage on the bottom that we have to have, and it's like 2 sentences. And for some reason, we get a lot of them that are cut off halfway. And so please make sure that when you're printing that, check your margins on your printer so that you're printing the entire form. And then blanks. It says one of the very first instructions is make sure that you fill out this form completely. And people are leaving things blank, like their phone number, like what auxiliary they belong to. The doctors are leaving the type of cancer blank. They're leaving dates treated blank, and it's really sad because it's a very easy form, very very simple form to complete, and we have to reject them for these ridiculous reasons.
And George mentioned the auxiliary number, but you could be a member at large and get a cancer grant.
Definitely.
You don't have to. That's one of the things, you don't have to belong to a specific auxiliary to get. But tell them how much. So this is good news and bad news all at the same time. But on average, how much money does the national organization pay out a year in cancer grants?
The recent average, I would say, is about $750,000 in cancer grants that our staff processes per fiscal year.
So it's wonderful that we have that benefit for our members. It's sad that we have so many members that need to use it.
Amen.
Yes.
But we are grateful that we have that. So the $2 per member that your auxiliary donates goes to keep replenishing the cancer grant fund. Now, some people say, well, you don't have the program anymore, so we're not collecting for it. Well, the reason we got rid of the program was because we were getting like $2 million in donations every year for the cancer aid and research. So that's why we decided we have enough money to keep funding that if we keep getting the $2 per member. So really think about having your auxiliaries donate to the $2 per member. And Cortina, is there any place where they could report that they made this donation?
They could, if they would report it under Veterans and Family Support. They could report it.
Because who's that cancer grant helping?
It's helping the members who are auxiliary members of veterans and the veterans and their families.
That's right.
But Ann, I wanted to ask, what if your auxiliary does not donate the $2 per member? Can you still get a cancer grant?
Absolutely. If your auxiliary chooses not to donate to the cancer grant fund, and they don't donate the $2 per member, and somebody from that auxiliary has cancer and wants to get a grant, they can still apply for it. The auxiliary does not have to donate the $2 per member, but really think about it, because it will help in the long run to keep this cancer grant program running for a long, long time.
Right.
Can I jump in with something else there, Ian?
Sure.
We're not doctors here at National Headquarters, so whatever your doctor puts on that form, we go with. So a lot of people ask, we get questions all the time, what do you consider treatment? Well, what does your doctor consider treatment? Are you taking a daily pill, a weekly pill, a monthly pill? And, if your doctor says, and you have to go in the doctor's office to, get that prescription authorized and refilled, then, to us, that's treatment if your doctor says so. And so your most recent date of treatment or your last date of treatment could be the last time you were in the office to go see your oncologist, I believe is what the cancer doctor is.
Yeah. And both Cortina and I have had family members who have received the cancer grant money. So
very appreciative.
Very, very appreciative. Absolutely. So really, don't think about it like you're taking from the organization. If you have cancer, definitely put in the application to get the cancer grant.
Right, and we're not asking for you to show bills, and we're not saying you have to use that money for bills. If you need to use it for travel or really whatever you want, it's your benefit to use that money for what you want.
We get a lot of thank you notes for cancer grants too, and one of them thanked us because they had somebody that would drive them back and forth for their treatment. And they thanked us for that because they used the money for gas money to give to the person that was driving them and took them to lunch.
That's nice.
So you can use it for anything. Yes.
Can individuals donate to the cancer grant fund? And I don't think people can hear me very well, so you might want to repeat my question.
Okay.
So the question was, can individuals donate to the Cancer Aid and Research Fund? And yes, just like we spoke about earlier with how to make a gift to the Continuing Education National President Special Project, it's in the same area. You click on Make a Gift, and one of the programs or funds listed is the Cancer Aid and Research, and you can make a donation or a gift right there in Malta.
So we want to thank you. The organization wants to thank you, the members and the auxiliaries who have previously and who will continue to donate to the cancer fund, the cancer grant fund, because we truly appreciate it. And the only other thing that we use that money for is the national president does make either one donation or splits up the money that we have in that goes to cancer research. So other than that, all the money that's in there goes to the members.
To the members.
So George is actually going to be free to go. Hopefully nobody will have any questions for him, or hopefully there'll be things that I can answer in his absence.
Right.
George, thank you very much for joining us.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Okay. So next on our list of stuff to talk about. Oh, wait, we have a question.
Well,
Go ahead. Is it a George question before he leaves?
No.
Nope.
Well, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
It's more of a comment. With the current government shutdown, are there funds still available to apply for the VFW Uniting to Combat Hunger Grant, and do they have to apply jointly with the post to get food assistance for unpaid federal workers in our groups and communities? I think it would better be answered by the VFW.
Truly, that would have to. We are going to address the government shutdown later in our speaking with you, but as far as how much money is left with the VFW, I do not have any idea. We could check and then possibly put an update to the Facebook Live at a later time, I think, but I'm not 100% sure if that can happen. But I don't know. I am assuming that they still do because the government shutdown is starting to affect people right now, even though the government's been shut down for a couple of weeks. I believe this is one of the first paychecks that they're missing out on. So, but we will talk about that a little later in our Facebook Live. Right now, we're going to switch to requirements for reactivating an auxiliary. Okay, so, yeah, I actually typed up a little cheat sheet a while ago about the difference between auxiliaries surrendering their charter or a canceled auxiliary. So since Cortina's the one that gets to do all the fun cancellations, I'm going to turn it over to her, and we'll explain to you the difference and what you need to know. So, Cortina?
Well, the first thing I want to say is you want to look in the national bylaws, and you want to look in Article 2, okay? In Article 2, and specifically in 207, we're going to talk about surrendering or disbanding your auxiliary. So let's say you have an auxiliary and they're not really meeting and the people can't get there. They're older. They haven't been bringing any new members in. And so they're like, we can't do this anymore. And so they decide they want to stop being an auxiliary, unfortunately.
So they vote to disband.
So, yes, they can vote to disband. However, what happens when you vote? You got to have a quorum. So you have to have your minimum 5 people there in order for this to be a valid vote. And if, so you have a valid vote and you vote to disband and you get that written in your minutes, and that's what you get to turn into the department and eventually comes to national for us to see. If you do that, if the auxiliary does that, okay, and they vote to disband, then let's say some new people come into the area. Okay, there's new post members with, and they have new family members who decide, we want to have an auxiliary again. And all. So do they have to start from scratch, or can they just start up, and reactivate? Well, if they voted to disband and it was in the minutes and we have that proof, then, and it's within 1 year from the time that they are canceled, okay, from the time that the national president has issued that special order to cancel, it's got to be within that year, then yes, they can be reactivated without starting from scratch. And how you do that is in Article 2 also. Would you want to add to that, Ann?
Yes, so the 3 reasons that an auxiliary can disband and be reactivated is if they're disbanded by auxiliary vote, if the post disbands and then the post comes back in, or if they are under 10 members. So in February, you have to have at least 10 paid members. And if they're less than that and they end up disbanding, they can possibly come back in.
Mm-hmm.
Any other reason for cancellation would not fall under this.
And then they would have to start up brand new, as a brand new auxiliary with a charter application with 15 new members, with the posts voting to have the auxiliary, etc.
Now, so if they're going to reactivate, what is the process? Who has to approve it? What gets done?
Well, the department president has to recommend it, okay, first of all. And the post commander also needs to recommend it. You still have to remember this auxiliary is going to be part of this post. And so the post still needs to agree that they want an auxiliary there. So we need to see a recommendation from the post commander and then a recommendation from the department president coming up to national president asking for this to be reactivated. And then if the national president approves it, and Ann will be taking it to the national president, then she will write a special order that will reactivate the auxiliary, and we will bring them back in Malta. Okay?
And this is very, very important. How many members do they need, and what kind of members can they take to reactivate?
10 members. They need 10 new members, okay? Or paying transfers to reactivate. Okay, so they could do that. 10 new members or 10 paying transfers, as opposed to if this was a new auxiliary, you need 15 new members.
Or rejoins. But you can't have transfers don't count.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if you have if the auxiliary disbanded because of less than 10 members and you want to start it back up and you have 9 members, but you have the 10 members that already transferred, the 9 that already transferred out, technically that's 18.
Right.
So you'd have
Right.
plenty.
If you could get them back. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Question.
yes.
Isn't there a requirement for a 30-day notice to members before a vote to disband?
Yes, there is.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need to let all the members know, because you might have some members that'll say, you know what, I'm going to come back. I'll be active. Maybe I will be the one that can save this auxiliary. So we had in Connecticut one time a charter member, and they were about to celebrate their 60th year, and she didn't want to lose that auxiliary right before the 60th year. She was a charter member. She came back and was president. And then the next year, somebody else took over, and they lasted at least 5 more years.
Oh, that's great.
So it was really great. But that's the member that came back, was the charter member.
That's great. Can I just mention that about notifying all the members? This is really important. You know, sometimes you have an auxiliary and they may have 50 members, but only 5 come to a meeting or 3 come to a meeting. And so when we say notify all the members, we mean notify all the members. So let's say you only have 5 emails and you've got 75 members. Well, guess what? You're going to be sending written letters to those 75 or the other 70 in
Not
addition.
just the 10 that
Not
show
just
up.
the 10 that show up.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important that all members are notified.
Okay. So I think we're ready to go on to bylaws, where you can find them and what changed. Okay. So the new podium book is already online. Yep, Cortina's got a copy. The printed copies, we only have the one sample they sent to us. The printed copies are on order, so they should be available soon. So you could start ordering them now if you want, but the store will tell you that they don't have any in stock and they're going to be back ordered. But you could start ordering them, but you could see the new podium book online on Malta already. So how do they know what changed?
Well, in the new book, okay, you'll see double underlines for anything that has changed. If it's a double underline in the book, and there's not that many, okay, that means it's a change from the last book, okay? And what are those changes? Those were what were approved, what got passed at National Convention when we were doing the resolutions and bylaws and ritual changes. That's what was changed, okay? And that's what's reflected in the new book.
And the only thing that is double underlined are the things that have been added. Anything that came out of the bylaws no longer shows. Last year we did try to line it out, but it made the bylaws longer and people didn't like the way it looked. So if you want to know if something was actually taken out, you have to look at last year's bylaws and compare it to this year's bylaws. But if you want a cheat sheet on what we actually changed, in Malta, you can go look it up under miscellaneous, under member resources, National Convention. You can see all the resolutions, and you'll see at the top if they were passed, or if they were defeated, or if they were passed with an amendment.
Right.
Right, passed as amended. So you can find that easily there. So let's talk about disciplinary action and the disciplinary action guide.
So one of the things that changed, okay, that got approved at the National Convention was a new Article 11, okay, which is discipline. That's in our bylaws, Article 11, XI. And along with that is a guide on how to do disciplinary actions. And so we have a brand new guide that is the guide to disciplinary actions. That is not in the bylaws book. The guide will be available in Malta, okay, soon, very soon, and it will be available to everyone in Malta. If your auxiliary, okay, votes to bring a disciplinary action, you're going to need the forms for that, and you're going to need the information for that. The forms will not be available to everyone. The forms are going to be available to the department presidents and the department secretaries under their officer resources in Malta. So if you're an auxiliary and auxiliary president and your auxiliary has voted to bring a disciplinary action against a member, you're going to need to go to your department president or department secretary to obtain the forms. And the reason we did that is because we were getting disciplinary actions by auxiliaries, and the departments didn't know about them. And that shouldn't be the case. Okay, anything that's going on in the department president should know what's going on.
And if once the case is adjudicated, which means it's over, so that means the case was done. There's possibly a hearing, there might have been an appeal, there's a decision, whatever the decision is. And if a penalty is imposed, the national president has to do the special order that issues that penalty. So if the auxiliary votes to, I can't think of a penalty, not allow somebody to hold an office for 10 years, and that's what the auxiliary voted, it has to come up the chain in order for the national organization to put that into Malta and to do the special order for it.
Or if the hearing panel, if they had a hearing, if there was a hearing and there was a penalty that came out from the panel because of that hearing, that has to come through the department to national in order for the national president to issue the special order that actually says that penalty for that person. Okay, it's not a penalty if you don't have that special order. Okay,
right.
It's not done. It's not adjudicated. It's not finished. It's not over.
And don't do them retroactively.
Yes.
If you vote to do a penalty, whatever that penalty is, it starts from the date that the paper is signed, not from the date of the incident. So that's very important to know.
Right.
And
I think we have a question.
Oh, okay.
Well, this goes back to reactivating auxiliary, and it was when you reactivate, do you keep the same number?
So yes, and that's actually really easy for us.
Say the question again.
When you reactivate, do you keep the same number? We keep the same number as the post. So no matter what, it won't change for us. Whatever. So if you reactivate, if you go out and come back, you are associated with that post. You have that number. Now, if a post goes out and comes back, they may get a new number, but the auxiliary will keep that number. Right. We'll keep whatever number the post has. So.
Which reminded me of something else off track after we finish with disciplinary action.
So one more thing. So for disciplinary action, we haven't told the secretaries and the presidents yet that they're going to be getting those forms in their duties page. So we're going to be letting them know that. So if there's anyone on here that's a secretary of a department or a president, yep, you'll have that pretty soon. And we had to tweak the forms a tiny bit. We realized we missed the word mail on certified registered. We didn't put mail.
M-A-I-L.
Yes, M-A-I-L. So we fixed little things like that. So the forms are all now perfect, and we'll be putting them up. And we did want to point out one more thing about disciplinary action. And if somebody gets removed from office, so if they're serving as the chaplain and they get removed for whatever reason, it is not the same as a disciplinary action. Removal from office is in the bylaws, and that hasn't changed.
809.
It's in 809, so you just go in and look at that, and you will know what you can do. And the really good thing about the guide, the disciplinary action guide, is there's a part in there is like what to do if you're the accused. And that's why that's going to be available to all members, because it gives you a guide to, well, what should I do? What do I never did anything wrong before. I don't know what to do. So it actually tells you not step by step, but kind of step by step about what you need to know. Right. So I really like that in the new guide.
Yeah.
So what did you just think about?
Well, speaking of numbers, the auxiliary number just reminded me of consolidations.
Oh, yes.
And everything. So, and we may have to actually do this at some other time and go into a deep dive on this. But let's say that there are two posts that consolidate, and sometimes there's more than two posts, but let's say there are two posts that consolidate. What happens is the posts have gone to the department, and the department has gone to national VFW to say they want to consolidate. That once that's approved on the VFW side, okay, at national level, then they send it to us here at national headquarters for the auxiliary. And then we go in and take a look. Yes, there are two auxiliaries associated with these two posts. All right. And they're going to have to consolidate too. You don't have a choice. If, if there's a consolidation of posts, the auxiliaries have to consolidate too. There is no choice. But there's a time frame that we give you, okay? We do give you time in order to do that, because what has to happen? As soon as those two posts are consolidated and the auxiliaries then are consolidated right then and there, your officers of the two auxiliaries are not officers of those auxiliaries anymore, because those posts, those auxiliaries don't exist.
Yep.
And so that means you're going to have a meeting, and you're going to have elections of new officers. And we want our departments to help you with that and stuff. So we want our departments to be involved in that. So an order will be issued by the national president to say, okay, because the VFW posts have consolidated, you auxiliaries are now consolidated, and you have 60 days in order to go and have election of officers and have this meeting. And all properties that were two separate properties, they now become one and become the property of the consolidated auxiliary.
Because some consolidated auxiliaries, so say A is consolidating with B, so A is trying to hurry up and spend all their money before they go in with B. Well, we don't want you to do that, because the money will be both A and B's money.
Right.
And the president of B is not the president of A and B. They have to vote.
Right.
Just because they got the number of B doesn't mean they get the officers of B, that they get to make all the decisions. It's supposed to be voted on as members, and you work together.
Yes.
So, is there a question?
Yes. Will the display issues ever get us a podium book with described specific infractions / behaviors and publish the consequences / probable penalty for the wrongful action that preceded the incident report? Where do these special orders exist in department records if new people are aware of offenders? Or if new people, if new people are offenders.
So that's a multi-question question. So first, let's start with, we just run over the disciplinary action. We had a committee. We actually talked about putting certain infractions with certain penalties, and we decided against that. But I can understand, because this auxiliary, you might have stolen money, and over here you get a letter of reprimand. But this auxiliary, you might have stolen money, and they're kicking you out for life.
Right.
So we actually discussed it and decided not to do it. It is the choice of whatever entity is the one making the decision. So if it's brought by an auxiliary, you have to have 2/3 vote of that auxiliary. The penalties are listed in the bylaws.
Yes.
So they have to pick one of those. They just can't make one up. They are listed there. And then what was the last part about that? Oh, where they're
orders.
kept. Special orders are kept by your department secretary.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to know if there's been a special order in the past, your department secretary should have a copy.
Right.
Okay. All right. Our next group of things, so we got about 15 minutes left, is called miscellaneous. So we're going to start with number one. I'm going to have you talk on that because you're the one that has to deal with that. So Cortina?
So when a past department president passes away in your department, we would like to know about it, because we'd like to let, excuse me, our national line officers and our past national presidents know. Okay, especially the past national president that was a national president when this department president was president. Okay, so please, we're begging you, please, department secretaries, okay, please let us know. Send us an email, give us a call. Let us know if there is a past department president in your department that passes away, so that we can get the word out.
Sometimes we catch it on Facebook.
Yes.
But we'd rather hear from you.
We'd rather hear from you, yes.
One of the questions we get a lot is, I'm not getting the e-news or notices from National. So what happens is, when you get the e-news, or you get a flyer that says the National VFW store is having a sale, all those things come through Constant Contact. If you hit the button that says unsubscribe, it takes you off of all of the Constant Contact emails that we send to you. So if you accidentally unsubscribed, you need to get added back on. E-news are done at least once a month, sometimes twice a month, depending on the month. So make sure that you don't unsubscribe. And if I say, oh, I'm going to forward this to Cortina, and then she unsubscribes, it unsubscribes me.
Yeah.
So if you don't forward it, copy and paste or send it over a different way. But don't forward it, because then you could get unsubscribed.
How do we get resubscribed, Diane?
You have to contact national headquarters. You would have to send an email over to info@, and one of our staff members would get that. And then I'm not sure if they can just do it or if they have to talk to you or what happens. I don't know the procedure. That is beyond my realm. Oh, Amanda.
Well, yes, that's right. To email info, and we'll look up your email in the constant contact system or database, and then what happens is you'll get sent an invitation to rejoin if you become unsubscribed. I don't know if anyone can hear me say this right now. So that's how it works.
Okay. So you would get an invitation to resubscribe once they get the email that you were unsubscribed. They'll look it up for you. So that's a good thing. Cortina and I get a lot of questions on department reporting versus national reporting. And the line officers get a lot of questions on how come my department never receives an award. So Cortina and I are going to talk to you a little bit about reporting. So Cortina, you want to start and then I'll jump in?
Well, it's very interesting when we get a question about, well, why did you change this in reporting? Why did this change? Why did that change? And we're like, we didn't change anything. I'm not sure what you're talking about. And it's because this is at the department level. So just like you don't have to, an auxiliary does not have to report on every single program, that is not a national requirement. That might be a department requirement, but it's not a national requirement. It's not a requirement necessarily for that auxiliary to get an award from national. Okay, so we have to be careful about what's national versus what's department and requirements and what counts and how to win an award. The national awards are in the program book. Okay, and that's how you win a national award. Whatever that is, that program is asking for at the auxiliary level or the department level or the member, but from the member. That's it. That's all we're asking for. We're not asking for anything else or anything different other than that.
Well, we do our year-end reports that department presidents fill out.
Yeah.
And we ask questions like, how many flags did you donate? Because we use that on our fax leaflet. So we ask for specific questions, but we don't care that, not that we don't care, but we don't care that you have to tell us we went to this and we did this and we did this. We only need the number.
Right.
Your department, who is then judging for a possible award, needs the details. So they need to know, yes, we went to this school and gave out this, and we did this, and we stayed for an hour. We had so many. We just need numbers for what we need. But departments are the ones that judge for your auxiliary awards in your department. So if you want to win an auxiliary award, then you have to send in a report to them. Do you have to report in all the programs?
No, not at the national level. But guess what? Maybe at your department level, you do in order to win an award. That might be their requirement. Right. But each department is different.
Correct. So we can't comment on that.
Right.
But for national, you don't have to. And in the program book, it says, like, this is a member award or this is an auxiliary award that you can send to your ambassador, and you could possibly win an award there. The actual other awards that we do is for the department chairman. They can get awards for the way they promote the program they're working on. So what they send out to you, the membership in that department, is how they get judged on if they're going to get an award. They don't need to go out and do a fundraiser for something. That's not that the auxiliaries are supposed to be going out and doing. The departments are supposed to be out promoting, and that's what we judge on. So I hope that makes sense, because we get that question a lot. And then one of the other questions we get is, okay, so I went down and donated blood, and then the next month I went to the meeting and I told them I donated blood. Can we report that?
No.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do you want to report it?
Yeah, that's not an auxiliary project. I mean, what, did you before that, did the auxiliary say, hey, we're going to have this drive for donating blood? Do you agree? Everybody agree, let's vote on this. We're going to have a drive. No, but that's not what happened. You just went down and donated blood out of the kindness of your heart. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much.
We
Absolutely.
appreciate that. Yes.
Yeah, and if you want to work with another organization like in the outreach program, then what you do is you bring it up at your meeting because you want your members to attend with you. It's not a one-person job. It's an auxiliary project. You need to do it as an auxiliary. Now, if something happens at the last minute and only one person can show up, well, you still voted on it as a project. You can still do it, even though only one person has showed up.
Now, and let's say that they were having a blood drive at the fire station, and they forgot to tell people, and they said, "Hey, will you help us with this blood drive at the fire station?" And it's in between meetings, and stuff like that. And we have 3 of our members that go down there and they volunteer to help them. Okay. Can they get credit for that as auxiliary outreach, even though it wasn't voted beforehand?
Yes, if they tell the other members. So if it's not a one-man show, but they tell the other members and they reach out to as many as possible that says, hey, maybe you have an email system. We want it. It's not costing you any money, so if you don't vote on it, it's not like money's coming out of your budget. You're just going to show up for something. Let people know and then say we can vote on this after for an auxiliary outreach project.
At the next meeting.
At the next meeting.
You can ratify that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So 2 quick things I want to tell you is do not lose your Circle of Excellence banner. We are actually working on a form so that if you do lose the banner, how much it's going to cost to replace the banner, how much it's going to cost to replace all the little rockers that go on it for every year that you've received that Circle of Excellence banner. Department presidents, when you get that at National Convention, when you get that rocker and you put it on your banner, make sure that you know where it is when you come back next year to National Convention. Because the little pieces cost more and more and more, and you don't want to have to do that. And the other thing I want to tell you about is member join date report. We have a report in Malta. Well, we have in Malta a place where you can go in and put an informal join date. Cortina, can you tell them why anybody would ever want to do that?
You might want to know how long the person's been a member, how long you've been a member, and everything. So, when we got into the Malta system and we started doing life memberships, okay, the date that you see that in the system is your life member date, but that's not necessarily the date you join. You may have joined 20 years before that. Well, there's a place there for you to put that date in that you joined. So the life member date stays there, but over here, then you have the member join date, and you could put in, oh, I joined in 1972. Okay, and what's that going to help you with? It will help us and you, see that you're in the 45-year plus club. Okay, so you can come to the luncheon and National Convention. So, but that date is one that you put in. Okay. We don't put it in. You put the date in.
So if somebody joins tomorrow and puts in an informal join date of 10 years ago, are they going to get a cancer grant? No. Because they just joined yesterday.
Yeah, and
they have to be a member a year.
Yeah.
And so anybody that's joined after we started the new system, their dates are correct. Mm-hmm. It's the members like Cortina and I that have been a member for forever that does not have the correct dates in there. So that's what that informal join date is. And the reason we started doing it was because some members would go in and they would be so, I don't want to say, like kind of ticked off because I've been a member since upset. Thank you. That's where we want. They would be upset because they'd been a member for so many years, but it didn't show on their record. The member join date field, I could see that on there, is when you log in as yourself. Mm-hmm. It should come right up on your
homepage.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. And then there should be a spot for you to click on informal join date. If you can't find it there, the staff can probably put something on here, or we could, we could try to get that out to you.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's really easy to find. Or check with your department. Your department will know. I don't have to go in and do it anymore, so I'm not exactly sure. So we do have some information about the cafe. As you know, the cafe this year is going to be in DC, and it's going to be at the Vietnam Wall. And the registration is going to open for the hotel on November 4th. So we are also going to open the registration up for the cafe to register for the cafe event on November 4th. Now, the nice thing is the celebration is outside. So if the government is still shut down at that time of the year, we should still be good to go because nobody has to let us in. It is an outside program. So we should be good to go with that, and you will see on Malta soon that the registration will be open. So if you go in November 5th, it should definitely be there. And yes, question?
Let's go back to the membership application. Where is the member join date field? I think she's asking about the application.
No, it's not on the application.
Okay.
It's in Malta.
And also on your home page.
Your home page.
The member join date field. It should be there somewhere under your name and everything on the home page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Okay. So, Cortina, do you want to talk a little bit about the government shutdown and what we're doing?
Well, I think everyone now knows that the government is shut down. And as you were saying earlier, that this is going to be one of the first times, that many of them are missing their paycheck. Just like all of the air traffic controllers are now not getting paid. Okay. So, this is affecting our veterans and their families. And of course, we're a veteran service organization. So, we want to help as much as we can. And so there is an organization called the Blue Star Families. Okay. And they are poised to help with anyone that is not getting paid, okay, that may need some assistance and everything. And so we want to encourage you, if you can, if you want to help, then maybe you want to partner up with the Blue Star Family organization, if there's one in your area, and see what you can do to help. Or even if there's something you can do like at a food bank, okay, in donating food and stuff to the food bank if they're giving them out to families and things. Or think outside of the box. What is it you can do? It's kind of like when we have a disaster in an area, what can we do to help? Same thing here. We want to make sure that our veterans, our active duty military, the families are supported, and because that's what we do.
And you can hold a food drive or a dinner at your post for, use some out of the box thinking about ways that you can help these people. And, a lot of people say, well, I didn't get a paycheck, so I'm struggling right now. But you don't want to be classified with homeless and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So do a special dinner just for the members, not members, but for the people that are affected by this.
In your area. Yeah.
So try to think something like that, out of the box kind of thinking. Yes, question?
Unrelated, but is attendance to the legislative conference in March no longer happening for auxiliary department presidents? It's not on the events or on the website.
Yes, the VFW is having their legislative conference, and we're having the cafe right before the legislative conference. There is a thing that will go out to department presidents, a flyer that says that you will be reimbursed $200 towards your expenses if you come to the legislative conference. And you have to take a picture with the legislator or a staff member in order to get that reimbursement. So yes, we are still doing that. And it is in conjunction with the VFW's legislative conference. It is right before. This way you don't have to fly back and forth. And yes,
Using the same hotel.
we will be using the same hotel.
As the VFW.
However, if they get too many people there, there are more hotels in the area. But currently, that is the plan. So before we do our end of the Facebook Live announcements, are there any more questions?
It's a VFW question, but is the VFW Foundation taking any action to assist families affected by the federal government shutdown? And that would be better answered by the foundation itself.
Correct. And the funny thing is, currently at this exact same time as us, Ryan Gallucci is testifying before Congress, or the Senate, I'm not sure which
Senate
one,
Committee on
before the
Veterans Affairs.
Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs. And we were going to get on it because they sent us a link, but it was at the exact same time as this, so we couldn't be on that. And I know the VFW is all watching, and they're together watching it in the downstairs area of the headquarters. So I can't even ask them right now. But yes, that is what is going on right now, and we wish him well in his testimony, and hopefully things will work out for the veterans, like we always wish. Our next Facebook Live is going to be in December. It is December 16th, 2025. We're planning on 2 p.m. unless otherwise notified. We will have a special guest here, and that is Lois Callahan, National President. She comes here in December, and so at that time is when we will have our Facebook Live while she is here. And Cortina, do you want to give them the last line?
Well, thank you everyone for watching, and from sea to shining sea, we're honoring veterans who keep us free.
Thanks for joining in.
Happy Halloween. Bye.